Welcome to Are We the Only Ones? I'm Kathy, and today I'm going to talk about ICE, Alex Preddy, Ilhan Omar, and what are we supposed to do? One of the things that I have been doing lately is I have not been necessarily recording immediately as news is coming out because I feel like there's enough people that will just tell you the news, tell you what's happening. Every once in a while, I'll do that because I find it important to break some news. But sometimes I think that it can be just an oversaturation, right? If it can be the same thing over and over again. And it's like, what makes this different than some other podcast that's just doing news, right? So I like to analyze. Like to take my personal experience and my resources and see if I can analyze the situation, come up with a solution, and try to execute that solution and try to get other people inspired to do their own versions of that, to come up with their own analysis themselves, and then on the ground in their local areas, essentially do something to help uh, mitigate, slow down, and protect law abiding American citizens that are exercising their First Amendment rights, their Second Amendment rights. And it's important that we realize that living our everyday normal lives is a privilege. There are people right now that are holding the line for our democracy while we sit in the comfort of our homes, including myself. And the least we can do is talk about it, share it, be indignant about it. For those that you don't know what the word indignant means, it means anger about injustice. If you are not indignant, or if you don't know that word, learn that word, use that word, be that word. We should all be angry about the injustice that is occurring in our democracy right now. And we should also be angry that the person that we're allowing to do this is a total buffoon. At the very least, let it be somebody that has some kind of value other than a shell of what you think something is, and then inside you realize it's completely hollow and fake and rotted. That's our president. Our president is the shell of what we think is American excellence. It's this fake version of what we have portrayed since Wall Street, 1980s movie scene of rich people being jerks. Perfect example is like Donald Trump is the kind of person that would take a $100 bill and shove it in somebody's mouth. That's the kind of person Donald Trump symbolizes. And I think that our society of good people needs to look at the assassination and murder of both Alex Preddy and Renee Good as a sign that there are no rules anymore of engagement for ICE. They don't follow any rules of engagement. They don't follow any kind of sense of dignity or decency because the people that have hired at ICE are generally the people that we would normally put away for molestation, rape, child sex abuse, sexual assault, harassment, racism, I would imagine embezzlement of company resources. I feel like anybody that would be hired by ICE and enjoy the job and do the job the way that they want you to do it would normally fit under one of these categories in which we would probably have to put them in jail ourselves. Therefore, I am sure that when this is all over, and it will end at some point because this country is far too large, far too progressive, whether you guys want to admit it or not, you can try to take away, and I've said this before, I said it to the founder of Vote Run Lead, and she agreed with me. You can try to take away Black History Month, Asian History Month, Women's History Month from an official standpoint, but we brought it from the grassroots level. You can't take away culture. You can try to move culture and change the narrative of culture. You can make it seem less important, but you cannot remove culture from the zeitgeist, especially culture that has existed for over 20 years. There has been a Black History Month since I was in high school, and I graduated in 1995. I'm 47 years old. There is no way that any institution can erase something like that when it didn't bring it in the first place. Okay, so let's start there. Secondly, we have done too much in this country to advance the rights of minority groups so that the talented and gifted in those minority groups could rise up and solve problems for us that we would not have let them solve before because we were discriminated against them over things that did not matter in the scheme of research, development, invention, period. Okay, so imagine the reality if we did not allow Black people, for instance, to rise up, we would not have heart surgeries. We would not have GPS. We would not have Wi Fi. Okay. That's just to name a few of the things that we would not have. And if we did not have that, we wouldn't even be in this situation right now where we could be like so privileged to talk about, oh, everybody's so woke. I'm so hurt by that. Oh, I'm so hurt that everybody's making me feel bad about myself because historically my people have been jerks. Okay. Wham. So now we are in a situation where we see that white men are getting executed in the street. The press overseas is reporting that we are executing our own citizens in the street. Other countries are saying this about the United States of America, the land of the free, the home of the brave. This is absolutely insane. And I am not being facetious. I am being right on. I am being on point. I came from a country that was being completely overrun by communists. And that is, they would be considered like the Girl Scouts compared to what we're dealing with in terms of bringing on a fascist state. I want you to understand something. For all of you that don't understand what it means if you support this type of government and it succeeds, what it will mean is eventually you will only get to use the internet 4 hours a day. You will only get to go get gas every other day if your plate ends in whatever number. You will only get to get water on the days the government tells you it's allowed. That is the only direction it goes when you have full authoritarian, complete corrupted control, especially by somebody that only wants to gather all the wealth so that he can control it himself. It will eventually mean that you don't get any of it. He's already showing you that now. He's taking your healthcare and using it to murder your own citizens that work in healthcare for the VA. To help veterans die with dignity, they executed that man. Now, how interesting is it that Donald Trump used to be on the side of the police? Now, I interned for the police department in San Diego Police Department when I was a senior in college. It was my business management requirement. So I decided to work with the police department and do outreach to the community to let the community know the police were not scary and they cared about you. And some of the ways that we would talk about that was how to disengage using weapons or not going and walking around as if you're an authoritarian type of government, type of leader. Fast forward 30 years, I'm looking at this coming from the head of our executive branch. I can barely even say that because he's the least presidential person in the history of the presidency. The man married a woman who used to date the most prolific child molester rapist in history. She is his sloppy seconds. Donald Trump married Epstein's sloppy seconds. That is an undisputed fact by Epstein's biographer, Michael Wolff. So I need you to understand that the amount of disgustingness that must be occurring in that group of people, the skeletons in their closets, if you can literally have somebody get executed and then you still have a release party for your very not popular, nobody cares about documentary, there is something seriously wrong in your brain that you would not realize that those events shouldn't happen at the same time anymore. I had a friend who worked at NBC Universal. Her entire job was whenever there was news and current events that occurred, they would have to go through and check all of the commercials on every single show to make sure no commercials would then make it look like NBC Universal were heartless people. Because if they already had predetermined commercials planned to air, and then let's say like 9/11 happened and you can't have like pictures of the freaking Twin Towers up, right? So that kind of like mentality. So the fact that they did not notice or even care that, you know what, we should probably not have this documentary release since he just oversaw an entire department, hired people that decided this was the protocol to be normal. This is normal protocol for rules of engagement with your own citizens that are not brandishing weapons. This is the beginning of every single American having to ask themselves, am I going to stand up the same way every single military operation has stood up for democracy on our behalf overseas? Are we going to stand up for ourselves? Are we going to actually say, hell no, this is not America, and I will not stand for it, and I will defend the country that has raised me, given me my life, my education, my understanding about the world? Am I going to let this history of America crumble for a man who as cowardly, weak? I mean, let me just mirror how he talks. Unfuckable, disgusting, crooked Donald Trump. You cannot be seriously allowing such a stupid man to destroy the greatest democracy in the history of mankind. Are you serious? I say this as somebody who's been on reality TV. You are not going to let a reality show buffoon take down the greatest democracy in the history of the world. Are you? Are you? I'm asking Republicans, I'm asking MAGA, are you really going to allow this man to then open up the ability to limit your access to internet, to fuel, to electricity, to food, to obviously to healthcare? This is what you were ushering in. You were ushering in an era where this guy gets to determine if he lets us even leave our house. That is where we're at right now. It is never too late to recognize you were wrong and to take a stand and to do what's right. It is never too late. However, Contrition can take a long time. We may not forgive you, though. We may not forgive you for a long time. So if I were you, no matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat, that does not matter now. We are Americans. As Americans, this cannot continue. White men are being assassinated in the street. They're only testing it out in blue states to see if they can do this to you in red states. Because you red state fools, you think you're safe, you're not. You're at more of a risk than us because we still have tax-paying Democrats that give enough money to help us undo and protect ourselves. You Republicans, you need our money. If they destroy the blue states, red states don't have money. Do you understand that? If you want your life as you know it to not be limited to your access of resources, you need to stop the progression of Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem under Donald Trump now. They are assassinating white people in the street. In Midwestern states. Do you not understand what is happening? Do you not understand? If you're a white person that supported the Trump administration, you have supported the administration to kill your own race. Do you not see how all of the racial tensions that he has been stoking? I said from the beginning, he's not a real racist. He just uses it because it works for the people that are racist. But when the racists see, wait, he's killing us. He's killing poor white people in the street. He's killing hardworking white people in the street. He's killing white people that look like you in the street. Alex Preddy doesn't look like a Republican. He doesn't look like a Democrat. He looks like an American. He looks like an American that any of us know. Any of us, all of us know somebody that either looks like him, was as kind as him, was as good as him, but also was not a weakling because he also believed in the Second Amendment. We are now looking at the Venn diagram of military people that were Republican adjacent getting assassinated in the street while they're doing their job, while they're trying to help, while they're doing their vocation. Alex Preddy was a VA nurse. He went to comfort people. He went to protect people. He went to record to show that there was some kind of accountability. The camera was more dangerous to ICE than the weapon that he had in his waistband that was not being brandished. He had a concealed carry permit. He was lawfully carrying his weapon, just like every other person that would go to Obama's rallies and carry their AR-15s around, pointing them up, walking around. So what precedent does that set? If that's where we're at now from a government, I'm okay. So anytime in the future there's a Democrat that has a rally and people with guns show up, Second Amendment does not apply anymore because the precedent of what you guys have done with ICE means the Second Amendment only applies in your house. Is that the new thing? Is that what we're doing now? I want you to understand there is no true philosophy in MAGA. There is no true ideology at all in the Republican Party. I'm gonna tell you right now, Republicans are the weakest party ever because even the good Republicans, you guys aren't doing anything. I used to be a Republican. You guys are full of stuffing. You guys act so big. You guys act like you're so strong and so powerful and so like forthright and good, so religious, so caring, so just, and that Democrats are the ones that are naive because we want to help everybody. No, You're naive because you think you actually care about people. You're naive because you think you're strong. You're naive because you think that when tyranny comes at your door, you're going to stand up and protect the country. You're the tyrants. You're the weaklings that rolled over. You're the sheep. You should be ashamed of yourself. Every Republican congressperson should lose their pension immediately. Tell me what you think. Let me know. Until next time.